back to another episode of The Moment. Today's episode is about my 2024 buck that named Big Jon. As you see here, is a pretty successful year. We chased him, all the way since early season. We had him in velvet, and he ended up coming about 1.5 miles to a different property that I was hunting, and he showed up there, and he was moving about 1.5 miles every other day, and we ended up catching up to him, and we actually had a couple chances at him, as you guys will see in the video, but this video is going to be a little bit different than what I'm used to making, and it's a little bit different because, I was on my vacation, I was hunting a lot, I was hunting hard and pulling my camera in and out, solo filming. I accidentally turned my mic off, and I didn't even notice for about 6 hunts. So the last 6 hunts I have, there was no audio, which I apologize if, you want to click off the video because there's no sound. By all means, go ahead, but I still got everything on film. I got a miss, and I got, one time he got my ground scent spooked off. I got that, and I also got me, shooting him. So it's still a pretty good video, a lot of footage, and, it was a good 3 or 4 days of hunting him, and I had a bunch of different encounters with him, and, it was a good chase, and, I was fortunate enough to get him, and he's here on the wall. So, yeah, it's a good story. We had about 2 years of history with him. I'm thinking he's probably a 4.5-year-old. I don't think he's quite 5, but yeah, it was a fun hunt. So I hope you guys enjoy, and stay tuned. We have 2 other buck videos coming after this one, and there's some megas. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching. All right, guys, here's the first hunt for him here, and I had the 6 does come out in this field. There's already about 5 standing by me, about 15 yards from my stand. And he steps out about 55 yards here, and he gets a little skittish. But I got an east wind, and I was able to get past him, and he came right in. And I decided to take the shot. I was pretty confident. As you guys will see, he ducks, and I just shoot right over him. But I took my time, but it just didn't work out. Well, here's a second encounter with him. This is, I think, the next couple mornings later. I actually drove by a sorghum field that he was actually bedded in, and I had no idea. And he comes up behind me and actually gets downwind of me. I think this is the doe that comes through first. Nope, that's him. And as you see, he runs off because he got my ground scent. But that was the second encounter, and I thought he was gone for sure after this one. Alright, so this is the morning before I actually killed him. It was a pretty good morning. It was a beautiful morning too, the sunrise. I had an encounter with an 8-point, and then I seen Big Jon out in the sorghum field, and I actually rattled at him, and he circled me and kind of got my wind. He didn't like it and ran back into the field, but it was a beautiful morning, and it set me up later to actually get my hands on him. Alright, so this is the evening I actually do kill Big Jon. I got set up in the middle of this woods. He's been hitting a scrape about every day in the middle of this woods here. So I set up kind of close to it, but just more in the center of this woods because I wasn't for sure on where he would move through at because there's no pinch points or anything. And I just had this small buck come through. And then about at 4:30, I let out a deep grunt and a couple small ones. And sure enough, 2 minutes later, here comes Big Jon behind me. I get everything set up, I'm ready to go. He's coming through looking for that whatever grunted. And I ranged that big tree out there at about 37 yards, and I put a really good shot on him. I think it was top of the heart, double lung. And I'm really proud of that shot, especially after, missing him a couple days prior. But, he read the script here and everything worked out perfect. And I was able to still get it on video. And right here I kind of just set the camera up and I wasn't even sure if it was on video. But everything was happening so fast. But here's the shot. Absolutely just drilled him. And I left a clip in here. You can see me get all excited and freak out. And I actually do watch him fall in that cornfield over there. Yeah, so here's actually the recovery of him. It was a good recovery video. Here's us walking up to a piece of the arrow that I found. I did get a pass through, but this is just where we started recording. Shout out to my girlfriend for coming out and videotaping this, because my dad was out in West Virginia actually when I shot this buck. So it sucked he wasn't able to come with us, but we had a great blood trail. Those broadheads did a number on him. I mean, I was very impressed with the blood trail. And he didn't make it but 60 yards. As you'll see, I'll see him laying out in this cornfield here. But, I was pumped. I mean, it's always good to see them fall. And we love a good recovery, especially after that miss. I was down on myself, but we made it work and we made a good shot. As you'll see, he's laid up here. He flipped over and you can see the shot I put on him. But yeah, it was a great blood trail, good recovery, and we still had a bunch of daylight left, which is, pretty sweet. And then here he is after recovery, and he's a beautiful buck, beautiful shot, and it was a perfect hunt. Couldn't be more blessed.